Hi everybody, I'm Logan Crawford and you're watching Fresh Outlook. It is time for our lightning round and I'm joined by our panel of experts, Jose Lopez of Seton Hall University, Albert Goldson, a global advisor, and Yohuru Williams from Fairfield University. We're going to start talking about a man I hate to talk about negatively, is Bill Cosby. Yohuru, what are your thoughts on Bill Cosby? I mean, we grew up loving him from I Spy, for old guys like me, to The Cosby Show and beyond.
Absolutely going to taint his legacy. He's a great entertainer. It's unfortunate that these charges weren't addressed earlier. I think the larger takeaway from the Cosby situation is really dealing with the issue of violence toward women and this problem that really he's become the face of. And hopefully something good will come out of this in terms of a meaningful dialogue about sexual harassment and the inappropriateness of the behaviors that went on that led him to this spot.
Jose, is it fair that these allegations come up decades after they allegedly took place?
I mean, that's the price of celebrity. I mean, and he's an icon. I mean, if you talk about a national treasure, I mean, Bill Cosby is right up there. I had an opportunity to meet him when I was in high school. I got a scholarship to go to college, and I talked to him for 5-6 minutes. He introduced me when I got this, and it's just like he is the same person in person as you saw on TV on the Cosby Show, which I grew up watching, and Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids on Saturday mornings. I mean, I'm shocked if this is the whole thing. I don't even know what to say. I mean, you hear the stutter in my voice.
Yeah. Albert, there sort of was like a wink and nod with the media on this story. A lot of people knew what was going on, and they kind of gave him a free ride because of his celebrity. That kind of thing doesn't happen anymore, and now he's been bitten.
Well, what happens is, I mean, again, he went decades without these allegations coming up. The biggest factor, the biggest worry is really celebrity status and how people, particularly women, are so fearful of bringing up let's say accusations that a celebrity acted inappropriately in a sexual manner, unconsensual contact, and that there were so many people involved. So there's a tremendous fear factor with celebrities, and he's in the entertainment field. Can you imagine what happens in the political field when those individuals have certainly a heck of a lot more power and influence than, let's say, a Hollywood celebrity?
And let's talk about little girls in India fighting back. We have some interesting video to show you taken aboard a bus, apparently, where some young women were being harassed and they said enough. And this is a culture where harassment is tolerated, at least in the past. Now so it's being dealt with more severely. Yohuru, what are your thoughts?
You know, in one sense, this is a wonderful video because it shows these young women standing up for themselves. In another sense, it's troubling in the sense that we still live in a society and culture, not just here in the United States, but globally, where women are discounted. And you look at a video like this and you're thinking it's the 21st century and you're seeing these images, and it's difficult not to be in some sense unnerved by the fact that they had to defend themselves in that way against this unwanted and unwarranted attention.
Jose, your thoughts?
I agree with Yohuru completely. I mean, this was taken by an amateur, by a woman actually on the bus. You see no one else is doing anything. That's a packed bus. I mean, that's very worrisome. I know this is a huge problem that they have there with the different rapes that have happened over the years there and continue to happen to this day. I was really shocked by that video, but you know, power to the Kumar sisters. They went after their attacker, took off the belt, and were defending themselves.
Albert, your thoughts?
Well, again, in many countries, unfortunately, when there's an assault against a woman, particularly in developing countries and certain countries with particular cultures and traditions, they seem to always blame the woman for bringing on this particular harassment.
Quote unquote asking for it.
Right.
Exactly. And I think if you have, let's say, a much stronger enforcement of the laws, and there are laws on the book in many of these countries that would protect women, and they could go to their accuser and actually bring them to justice, I think that would help in many ways, reduce that sort of harassment. But again, they have really no choice but to fight back, and I applaud their efforts.
Let's talk a little bit about harassment. 2 little girls were harassed by a GOP staffer who was obnoxious and pig-headed and made fun of the Obama daughters because they apparently were acting like teenage girls do at an event hosted by their father. We're talking about the Obama girls. And I sometimes had my daughter on television, and guess what? She looks like I'm an idiot too and looks at me sideways and cross-eyed, and that's what kids do when they're teenagers. What is this woman thinking of? And then basically saying they're quote-unquote tramps, that they're dressed looking like they should be at a bar. I mean,
that was entirely inappropriate to me. We can go back and look at, Patty Reagan or Chelsea Clinton. All kids who grew up in the spotlight that way in the White House are going to have that degree of scrutiny. This was an unfortunate choice of words, and really the politicization of the Obama girls in a way that I thought was very hurtful and unnecessary. The staffer should have apologized immediately. I think the right thing happened, but I thought it was terrible. I thought it was racialized to a certain extent, and I was very, very upset.
Jose, your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, they're 13 and 16 years old. The President Obama is pardoning a turkey. Gosh.
Right, exactly.
How exciting can that be?
I'd roll my eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way they dress is their choice. I mean, and these two young women, I mean, they're growing into women before our eyes, are under the microscope, but they did not choose this. I mean, their parents chose to be in these positions. President Obama chose to be in that position, but not them. And there's always been a hands-off. The media's never really gone after them, and this was wrong. And this lady lost her job. I mean, she well-deserved to her.
And it's also the power of social media, Albert. In the past, there were only 4 or 5 TV stations you could get on to get your word out, or a newspaper, but now you can put it on your Facebook, and if it's inflammatory enough, it'll get you in the headlines, like this situation did. Tell me about your thoughts about this GOP staffer criticizing the Obama girls.
Again, it's social media, and there's unfortunately such an incredible temptation to use social media to put out, let's say, an opinion, let's say your own opinion, that may not be that of your organization, or it could be of your organization, and it can really get you into a heck of a lot of trouble and embarrassment, not only for the individual, but it reflects also on the organization. It doesn't have to be political. It could be a nonprofit organization or any other type of organization, so you have to be very careful with respect to your public relations
Think
individual.
before you tweet. Might be a good lesson to be learned here. Chimps have no human rights. The New York State Court of Appeals rules that a chimpanzee by the name of Tommy, I believe, who lives nearly autonomously, does not have the rights of a human being because apparently he does not have the responsibilities of a human being. Right decision, wrong decision on the part of the court.
Good law, good policy.
Ridiculous to even bring it up?
Completely ridiculous.
Okay. Jose, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I love all animal life. Chimps are my favorite animal. I mean, they are the original space explorers. We sent the chimpanzee up into space and came back, and that thing did not look enthused at the time. Hammy was his name. They're not humans. I mean, they don't understand, that they can hurt people. They have the mind of a 4 or 5-year-old, but they can't communicate. They can't tell you, I'm hungry, I'm this and that. So they're not humans.
Absolutely. Albert, you concur?
Well, unless it's Dr. Zora from the original Planet of the Apes, I completely concur with my panel here.
Why did you shave, Taylor? You look so damned ugly now. Horizontal elevators of the future. Take a look at the video. I'm going to talk to Jose because he's our science guy first. These things are incredible.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. It's going to be a transit system within buildings?
I mean, our population is booming, and I mean, you go to huge airports like Atlanta or even Newark or Kennedy these days. It's so hard to get around. I mean, and buildings are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Our population is growing tremendously. I mean, we're at 7 billion people. The next 20 years, we're going to be at 9 billion. It's going to get huge. So we have to come up with ways, and this is a good idea to move stuff around. I mean, and for people who have disabilities, I mean, getting from one side of the building to another side of the building is a hard thing. So these elevators are going to go up and then go to different sides. It's going to be like a chain. It's really interesting.
And multiple cars. You won't have to wait for that one elevator. So if Albert gets into the elevator, pushes all the buttons as a joke on a skyscraper, there's not a problem. Let's talk about this high-tech spoon that they've come up with. We were talking about helping people with disabilities. Apparently, as we know, a number of people in this country, quite a number, have tremor issues with Parkinson's disease and similar disorders. The high-tech people of this world have gotten together and created a high-tech spoon that'll help them. What are your thoughts? You're looking at the video right now.
Well, certainly, I think it's definitely useful. And take a look at the demographics of this country. You have baby boomers who are retiring millions per year. And of course, no matter how much they want to stay in shape, they're going to run into age-related issues. So I think that's a perfect example of serving a particular and very large demographic.
I really love this too.
Yes,
A+ Senior Care here in New Jersey runs a blog for seniors, and one of the great things about this is that when you have people that have this need, and this is a large segment of the geriatric population, it gives them a sense of independence back. I think this is a wonderful and appropriate use of technology.
The ability to feed yourself is something everybody needs.
Absolutely, that's essential. If you can't feed yourself, you're in trouble. I mean, this is a small Google company that Google bought up, and Google Biology X is a part of it. And one of the founders, Sergey Brin of Google, his mother has Parkinson's. And so he has a particular interest. And he's come out in the media and said that he has a gene that could potentially lead to Parkinson's. So the fact that this liftware, as it's called, that adjusts for the tremors, it's a brilliant idea. 4,000 years of spoons and we've got to this. You know?
Sounds good. And that is it for this edition of Fresh Outlook, Every TV's talk show that does what else but help you keep your outlook fresh and informed and teach you about the history of spoons. I'm Logan Crawford. Thanks for joining us.